Unvaccinated patrons who threaten, cough or spit at staff in cafes, pubs and clubs for enforcing new COVID rules will be slapped with hefty on-the-spot fines or face up to 6 months in jail. The penalties come into effect before December 17th, when Queensland venues will be allowed to operate at full capacity if all staff and customers can show they are double dosed.
4 days after opening the borders on December 13th, Queensland's strict new COVID measures will close the doors of entertainment and hospitality venues to the unvaccinated. That includes pubs, cafes, theatres, stadiums, museums and theme parks.
Is this going to be divisive for the community?
I think it's great. I'm a doctor, so I think everyone, should get vaccinated.
From December the 17th, for the first time in months, businesses can operate at full capacity, but only if employees and customers are double dosed. Staff are expecting backlash.
I'm not going to be surprised if there is going to be more aggressive patrons.
It can be a little bit intimidating when people have got a strong opinion on something.
We've got probably, I reckon, about 30% of our customers that aren't vaccinated. So just trying to work out a plan on how we can still cater for them.
Outdoor signs will alert patrons to the changes, but for those who become aggressive or threaten to cough and spit, there's now a $1,378 on-the-spot fine, and it's worse if the matter goes to court.
The fines are over $13,000 and may even be a term of imprisonment.
If you choose not to be vaccinated, that is your decision. However, it is not your right to abuse the people who are simply trying to do their job.
Unvaccinated people will still be able to access essential services like supermarkets and public transport, but existing COVID restrictions will apply. Regardless of the rules, a rise in COVID cases is about to become routine. Today there was another community infection, a man who may be the source of the current cluster of 4 on the Gold Coast, sparking more warnings the coast's vaccination rates are not high enough.
Gold Coast is an area that, as we know, is adjacent to the New South Wales border and is more likely to have people moving back and forth.
More than 79% of Queenslanders are now double dosed, but communities that are lagging well behind, such as Cherbourg and Yarrabah, have doctors concerned should the virus take hold.
If the hospitals get squeezed, unfortunately, the government may need to look at border closures in the future.
The Premier has ruled that out.
We're not shutting the border. We believe that we have the right measures in place and we have the high rate of vaccination.
But South Australia is already reviewing its strategy, with an outbreak just weeks after opening its borders creating confusion. For now in Queensland, it's full steam ahead. Sally Eales, ABC News.
As you can imagine, on the Gold Coast, next week's reopening has been met with a fair amount of enthusiasm. But for many who live and work in the city's south, there's concern an influx of visitors will cause havoc, especially for those who need to travel between the states every day. From Coolangatta, Kimberly Bernard reports.
It was the announcement the Gold Coast was waiting for.
Oh, it's about time.
While the holiday hotspot is more than ready to welcome back tourists, many who live and work in the border zone fear a checkpoint headache come Monday.
Yeah, it'll be chaos. Real chaos. A lot of people will park and walk, but it's going to be crazy.
I reckon we could have queues right the way back to Ballina, especially on Christmas Eve.
Airports too are bracing for the influx.
We're seeing the airlines are scrambling to add more flights in. We're seeing that people are very keen to book.
Bridget Clark opened her patisserie just last week, metres from the Coolangatta checkpoint. She doesn't know how the coast will cope.
I actually didn't sleep very well last night because I found out just before I went to bed. And even though I'm really excited, I just don't know what that looks like.
But others are just ready for life to get back to normal.
Oh, well, I'm excited. I mean, I live right here at Rainbow and it's been hard because my kids go to kindy just over there at Tweed and so I cross the border all the time.
Further west, Christmas has come early for the border town of Gundawindi, despite last week's flood.
Really, really optimistic. I can't wait to see people come over. Yeah, it'll be great to see the town buzzing again.
Gundawindi has one of Queensland's highest vaccination rates and is ready to open its arms once more to communities just down the road in New South Wales.
We've had a lot of trouble here with folks just from across the border being restricted and so forth, so I think we're all excited to have the borders back open again, yes.
For fish and chip shop owner Fuzz Zimmerman, it spells the end of staffing problems.
I've got staff. I've got 2 juniors that live over in Bogga, and we haven't had them on staff for the last 6-8 weeks or whatever it is since the border's been closed.
But for some, there's a shadow of concern about what could be in store.
We just don't want to get sick over here, and this Omicron stuff is coming up and everybody's got their double jabs and just a bit worried about things, you know.
For now, the hard border barricades are set to stay until the state reaches 90% vaccination rate, expected in mid-January. Here on the Coolangatta-Tweed border, locals have been meeting across the barricades for months to see loved ones and keep their businesses going. This weekend could be the last time the community has to get creative until the border comes down on Monday. But many are sceptical.
Well, I think it's going to continue like this because the actual border crossing points are going to be chaos.
A community wary after a long few months. Kimberly Bernard, ABC News, Gold Coast.
Let's go live now to state political reporter Kate McKenna. Kate, the reopening announcement has also created confusion in some parts, especially around this 5-day testing requirement. What more can you tell us?
Good evening, Matt. Well, come Monday, fully vaccinated travellers from interstate hotspots will not only need a negative COVID test before departing to enter the state and not have to go into quarantine, they'll also have to get tested again 5 days after arriving in Queensland. Now, this extra test requirement has prompted some questions about logistics, particularly, say, if you're holidaying in a region that doesn't have testing facilities like a remote island. And this is what one tourism executive had to say earlier today.
It does create a challenge in a destination like ours, particularly where you've got visitors on liveaboard vessels or out on island resorts where they're far away from the PCR testing facilities. So we're working through those details at the moment. What we want to ensure is that it's as smooth and straightforward for the customers as possible.
Now, the government says there will be some wriggle room with the public health direction. For example, if you're on day 5 and in an area that doesn't have testing facilities like an island, as I mentioned, you will be able to get tested either shortly beforehand or immediately after. You also won't have to isolate while awaiting that 5-day test result, and the rules apply to all children aged 12 months and older. And the government is continuing to finalise details ahead of the border reopening on Monday, Matt.
All right, thanks, Kate. That's Kate McKenna there, state political reporter.